Good morning, Speak New Lifers, and we are back for another video. I don't know if you can see behind me, it's a little foggy, but I normally quite like the fog. It's something quite mystical about it. And then also just the potential of knowing that when this fog lifts, there's actually like bright blue skies on the other side, which is quite nice. It's quite nice. And so it's nice to walk in when you're not feeling too cold, and you know, if you get a good coat, whatever, it's just kind of cool to walk when it's cool outside and stuff. But anyhow, what I wanted to talk on today was something along those lines, like perspective, choosing to have a different perspective, if not God's perspective on everything. Because you know, I recently posted a video and I saw some of the comments about how, you know, even in a waiting season, it could be hard, right? Because it looks like our options are becoming less and less and less with age. And what I'm talking about is like, you know, a waiting season for a partner, but it could be a waiting season for anything. And it just feels as though there's less opportunity being presented to us, and the pool is becoming smaller and smaller. And so that is the fear that sometimes we can buy into, to have us believe that because the pool's getting smaller, we just have to accept whatever fish is in the pool, whether we like that fish or not, and whether that fish is to our favor or not, you know. And I just wanted to say, is that actually true? Is that actually true? But if we were to actually adopt a different perspective, would we see that the size of the pool is somewhat irrelevant? The size of the pool is irrelevant. It all comes down to the one who knows what's in which pool and how to get that fish out of that pool, basically. And so I'm just talking in riddles, but this is the thing. You know, when Peter was having trouble with his taxes, and then Jesus said, go down to the water and cast a hook and you'll catch a fish, and in that fish you'll find a gold coin in that fish's mouth, right? Now, at that point, it wouldn't have mattered how many fish were actually in that pool. All he needed was the one with the gold coin in his mouth. And Jesus was saying to him, I know exactly which fish you need to catch. And so when Peter just did what Jesus told him to do, he caught the fish. And he caught the gold coin, and he went and paid his taxes, and he went and paid Jesus' taxes also. And so when we are, say, you know, single ladies in our 40s and 50s, 60s, whatever it may be, and it would appear as though the pool is getting smaller and the options are getting more limited, we could be tempted to buy into what fear is suggesting, that we're going to be by ourselves forever, and if we don't take this one, then what other option are we going to have? But that's not actually what God is saying. God is saying, I know. And this is the thing. I remember one time he said to me, he said, Davina, do you not know that I know? Meaning, I know everything about everyone. Like, if God, who created everything, created every single hair on your head, on every single person's head, he knows everything about everything. And so when we buy into the fear that there's going to be less options, we are basically saying to ourselves that, Lord, I don't believe that you're able to show me and lead me to what you have and who you have for me. Because he's able, he's bigger than that. And so I realized that we have to magnify our God and how we see him and the power in which he has to bring about these things in our life over the perception of lack, you know, of lack. And I was listening to somebody, and he was talking about Adam and Eve in the garden, how they had to walk past a whole bunch of abundance just to get to the tree of lack. Just to get to the one tree that God said they couldn't have. They had to walk past all the trees that God said they could have. And so basically what happened in that moment wasn't that they didn't have what they wanted. It's that their perception of what of what they saw changed. And that's how the enemy works. He changes our perception of what we're seeing. And so he wants us to see the lack more than he wants us to see the abundance. And what's the abundance? God is our source. God is our source. In him, there is no lack. And so when we really get that into our hearts, we don't have to be afraid. We don't have to be afraid because time is going by. We don't have to be afraid because we're getting older. We don't have to be afraid of anything. It's like God says, be fearful for nothing. And so when we realize this, it's like really and truly, Lord, you know where I am. You know where I am in life. You know what it is that I need. You know what it is that I desire. You know how to get it to me. You are the source of all things and everything. In you, there is no lack. And so therefore, I put my whole trust and faith in you and your ability to take care of everything that concerns me. And I'm not going to buy into fear because you didn't tell me to walk by fear. You told me to walk by faith, right? And so each time that thing presents itself and says, oh yeah, but if you don't do something, oh yeah, if you don't just sit here and accept this guy, even though he's not treating you well, even though he's not really serving you, and when I say serving you, like serving your purpose, serving the reason why God has you here on this planet, like he's taking up more energy and space than anything else, but yet you sit there and put up with him. And I know what I'm talking about because I was doing it to myself, but yet I had to let go. And it's like, okay, I had to come to the conclusion and say, you know what, Lord, even if I'm by myself forever, so be it. But I don't believe that's what you want for me, but I'm willing to walk in that if that's what you have for me. And in that moment, in that space, he began to show me that he was working on my behalf to bring me the person that he always had for me. And so I had to begin changing what I was saying, by changing what I was thinking, by renewing my mind in this area, and to amplify him, magnify him over the circumstances and the situation that I found myself in. So all I'm saying to you is today, don't buy into the lies telling you that, your options are limited. In God, there are no limits. In God, there are no limits. He knows everything. He knows everything, and he knows how to get it to you. That fish was swimming around in that pool with a gold coin in its mouth for the purpose of Peter. So that when Jesus sent the instruction, Peter could go catch that fish. God knows. He knows everything. And so when we just settle into the place of knowing that he knows, like, Lord, I don't know how this is going to happen, but I know that you know. And I know that because you love me, he says he gave us Jesus. Will he not with him also give him all things freely? Something like that. Paraphrasing. That's the DDB version, the Davina Dalrymple Brown version. Look, but anyhow, right? And so it's like when we know this, we can rest knowing that he knows, and because he knows, he's working everything out for our good. So it's to keep our eyes focused on the one who knows. And so even when we're out there and we're looking around and we're seeing and we're like, oh, but there's nothing out here. When Hagar was in the desert, and she was out there and she looked at her son crying, and she's like, oh, well, I guess we're just going to die. And she put him under a bush so she wouldn't see him die from starvation and thirst out there. And then in that moment, the angel came to her and told her some stuff about her son. And then she looked up and she saw a pool of water or a well or something. She saw water. She saw the resource of water. And so sometimes we can be sitting around feeling sorry for ourselves, licking our wounds, wanting to cry. And God's like, hello, do you not see? Do you not see? Can you not see what's surrounding you? And God knows. He's like, you lack nothing. You lack nothing. So begin to change your heart, begin to change your mind, begin to change your words, begin to confess that he is greater. And then watch him work on your behalf. I'm telling you. Your mouth, your belief in his magnitude and his greatness will change some things drastically. All right.